Okay.
Uh, what? I don't want to record it. Call the order, roll call, then. Right?
Yes.
No, then, then report. Okay. Or is it that wrong?
No, you're good.
Do I need to, was that o'clock?
Yeah, we have time.
Press those that are visible.
Oh, there are some that are here that aren't on the screen.
Good morning and welcome to the November 19th meeting of the Capital Quarter Joint Powers Authority Board of Directors. We will start with roll call.
Director Byrd,
Here.
Director Broadway,
Here.
Director Chapman, Director Dickinson, Director Foley, Director Frericks, Director Alba Hernandez, Director Jade,
Here.
Director Lee,
Here.
Director Ridd,
Here.
Director Rayburn,
Here.
Schaefer, Director Schaefer,
Here.
Director Sell, Director Wright,
Here.
Director Brewer, Director Jones, Director Kennedy, Director Moy, Director Vega, Vice Chair Hernandez,
Present.
Chair Howdeshell.
Here. And Josh Chapman, we cannot hear you. I got a text from Josh Chapman. Can you hear me? Josh, we cannot hear you.
I have to promote him, which I just did. Okay, Director Chapman,
He is
Yes,
here.
I'm here.
Yeah, he's here.
okay, we have a quorum.
Great, thank you very much, Mr. Franklin. I'll ask Director Wren to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
President, join me, pledge the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Play ball.
Yeah, play ball. Mimi, I ask this all the time. How will I be able to see those folks behind me? There's a feature here that I'm supposed to be that will give me access to those who are online. While we're working on that, I will do the report of the chair. All right. So welcome to the board meeting of the Capital Court Joint Powers Authority Board of Directors. Please note today's meeting is an in-person meeting in the San Francisco Bay Area Rapid Transit Boardroom at, thank you very much, at 2150 Webster Street, first floor, Oakland, California, with an option for participation via teleconference. Please note that the board members participating via teleconference are all doing so in locations posted 72 hours in advance of the meeting that are open and available for public participation. You can download the agenda and presentation materials at www.capitalquarter.org/ccjpa-board/. All speakers, including CCJPA Board and staff, are requested to announce their name as they begin to speak. For public participants who joined in person, if you'd like to provide public comments, please complete a request to address the board form available at the entrance of the boardroom and hand it to the secretary before the item is considered by the board. For public participants who joined by telephone, your microphones are automatically muted. If you wish to speak on an agenda item, please dial *9 to virtually raise your hand when public comment is announced. When it is your turn to speak, you may need to dial *6 to accept the unmute request. For public participants who joined via Zoom, please use the raise hand feature if you wish to speak. To board members and staff who joined via Zoom, please mute your microphones whenever you're not speaking to avoid background noise. If you wish to make a general public comment on a subject not on the agenda, you will be given an opportunity to speak under item 7. However, if you have a comment on an item which is on the agenda, we'll take those comments after the staff presentation and prior to board discussion. Public comment is limited to 2 minutes per person per item. Comments which have been received via email by 3 p.m. on Tuesday, November 18th, 2025, have been provided to the board and will be included as a permanent part of the board meeting record. Comments received after that time will be provided to the board following the meeting. Board members, in order to reduce confusion throughout the meeting, when it's time for director's remarks, I will call for board member comments. I will speak last, and in the interest of time, provide an opportunity for equal participation. Please try to keep your comments concise. This is the most important part of the chair's report, and the first part that I read, as I told Mimi yesterday. I'd like to extend my sincere congratulations to Bob Franklin, who has been appointed by the BART board as the new district secretary, and will also serve as the secretary for the Capitol Corridor. Bob has spent the past 6 months as our interim secretary supporting the CCJPA and has already made a strong contribution in a short period of time. Fun fact, he also served on the CCJPA board from 2004 to 2012, including 2 years in this chair as chairperson. Please join me in welcoming Bob in his new role as the CCJPA secretary. This concludes the report of the chair. Thanks very much.
To the chair, Mayor Berg from Dixon.
Yes, go ahead.
I just want to make it known that I have another engagement. I will have to pull out of this meeting around 10:30, so I hope that doesn't affect the quorum. I just wanted to share that.
Well, my goal is to have this meeting over at 10:25.
Good man.
And with that, we have a consent calendar. It approves of consent calendar consists of items that are of non-controversial in nature. Do we have any public comment on the consent calendar?
There's no public comment.
Thank you, Mr.
Mr. Chair, I'll move approval.
All right.
Second.
We've got a motion by Rayburn, a second by Wren, RR. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, wait, check. Do we need a roll call vote?
Yes,
Because
to
we
do a roll
have,
call because
sorry,
Virtual.
we have virtual. So let's call a roll.
Director Byrd,
Aye.
Director Broadway,
Yes.
Director Chapman,
Aye.
Director Dickinson,
Aye.
Director Frericks,
Aye.
Director Alba Hernandez,
Aye.
Director Jane, Director Jane, Director Lee,
Yes.
Director Reed,
Aye.
Director Rayburn,
Yay.
Director Schaefer,
Yes.
Director Wright,
Aye.
Vice Chair Melissa Hernandez,
Aye.
and Chair Hollashell.
Aye. Thanks very much. And
Chair, this is Director
Yes.
Jane. I didn't hear my name called. And I vote
Director Jane?
yes.
Okay.
I vote yes.
thanks for making sure that was recorded. Next, we'll move to action and discussion items. And the first one is to adopt the additional FY 2026 annual business plan funding for FY 25 Amtrak operation agreement. And is this you,
Yep.
Director Paget? Or
I'll introduce our speakers today. So for this next item, we are going to be asking the board to accept funds to wrap up our FY 25 operating agreement with Amtrak. We did have some delays in the implementation of a third-party contractor during FY 25, which led to more expenses for Amtrak in particular. And we do want to take this opportunity, because we're talking about operations here, to share some of the underlying operations that occurred during this time period. And I will turn it over to Charles France, our operations manager, and Leo Sanchez, our deputy.
Morning, directors. My pleasure to present to you for the first time this morning, Charles Franz, new transportation manager for the Joint Powers Authority.
welcome.
Thank you very much. First want to get into some operational updates. First slide here is ridership since the pandemic, as well as service levels. Obviously, back in the pandemic, dropped service down to 10 weekday trips and 10 weekend trips. The red line is ridership by quarter, going back to FY 20. And the purple lines are service levels. Purple is the weekday and the weekend trips are added on top.
I'm sorry,
and-
if there are slides being advanced, I don't see them. There, thank you.
Thank you. So as I said, red line is ridership and purple is level of service. And as you can see, we've been increasing level of service since the start of the pandemic, and excited to get back to full service here very soon in this next little bit. Next slide. So what does full service mean? Looking to deploy a new schedule very soon, which will increase us to 15 weekday round trips. Doing this in conjunction with our partners at San Joaquin, Gold Runner, looking at all the meets and various timing to improve on-time performance for both our trains and Gold Runner trains. Also better utilization of our current equipment, as we'll be able to go back to this full service with the equipment we have now. Should give us also a wider spread of South Bay arrival and departure options and later departures across the board in the morning and evening commutes. Also, later service for Sac, Roseville, Auburn on the weekends, hoping to take advantage of games in the South Bay. Next slide, please. So some time ago, we implemented a fare reduction on short distance trips, and this is sort of a first pass at the effects of that. The picture on the right represents origin destination pairs with over 150 riders and over 15% growth year over year. The darker the box, the more riders. And so what this really highlights is an improved connection between Sacramento and Davis for students and families. It also highlights the BART connection at Richmond for Solano and Contra Costa counties. And it also shows an improved connection between the East Bay and Silicon Valley. As you can see, the darker boxes, Sacramento to Davis, Richmond to Fairfield, Martinez, Oakland to Great America, Fremont, et cetera. Next slide. Wanted to give an update on Tap to Ride as well. We're continuing to grow the program slowly as we continue to work through technical issues with readers, location services, et cetera. But monthly ridership is up by a third. New customers are up by a quarter. We had 180 unique customers tapping and riding in October. That's 180 individual, rides. Technical errors have been largely flat in October, although they've ticked up a little bit in November, and we're looking into those. Failures to tap off are continuing to be an issue, which is a improved opportunity for customer education as we continue to grow the program. The chart on the right is both percent of total Capital Corridor trips taken by Tap to Ride, along with the total Tap to Ride trips. Next slide. Want to touch briefly on-time performance in September, which was a little bit of a struggle for us. The chart represents fiscal year 24 and 25 customer on-time performance by month. As you can see in September, we came in at 82%, which is below our 90% goal. This was mostly due to adjusting to the cancellations for some mechanical issues we were working through. Our new mechanical contractor getting up to speed and getting their hands around, operating the service. This led to a number of cascading delays, that mostly happened at the initial terminal and then cascaded down through the schedule. Also, a number of speed restrictions due to track maintenance on the Martinez sub by Union Pacific. Late inbound arrivals from those cascading mechanical delays, and a big uptick in PTC or positive train control issues, which was both an equipment and operational issue, which we've been working through to resolve with Union Pacific and Amtrak. The good news is that October returned to 92%, and we're hoping to continue that on-time performance. Next slide. Other operational updates we wanted to keep you in the loop on. A December fare increase for the Emeryville San Francisco bus connection by $1 for single rides and commensurate increases for other fare classes and multi-ride. Also an increase in November for our cafe car prices due to inflation. Also, we won't have a chance to meet with the board before the 49ers win the Super Bowl in Santa Clara or something like that. Wanted to keep you abreast of what we're doing down there. We're looking at 3 targeted round trips for the Super Bowl. Essentially 3 arrivals basically on the hour to serve the Super Bowl, and then 3 departures on the exit. Our marketing team, of course, will be marketing the event as well as keeping regular customers and commuters apprised of Super Bowl related disruptions and what they may need to see for that. Also working closely with the Bay Area Host Committee and local partners, ACE, Caltrain, VTA, to ensure a smooth delivery for the Super Bowl. So with that, I will hand it off to Leo to discuss some funding. Thank you.
Thanks, Charles. Good morning, members of the board. I'm Leo Sanchez, Deputy Managing Director with Capital Corridor. This slide summarizes the additional state funding provided to fully support the federal fiscal year 25 Amtrak operating agreement. At the top of the slide, you can see that in August 2025, upon the completion of the mechanical transition, CCJPA's FY25 operating forecast was updated to reflect the unexpected delay in the mechanical transition. The updated FY25 projection is now totaled at 32.29 million. And in the federal fiscal year 25-26 annual business plan, it originally funded 28.23 million, which created a gap of just over $4 million. This gap occurred because our budget assumed that the mechanical transition would be completed in the first quarter of the fiscal year. The reality was that the transition took longer than expected and was not completed until August 1st of 2025. During that extended transition period, CCJPA continued to incur higher Amtrak operating costs than originally planned, resulting in the shortfall shown here. The California State Transportation Agency, CalSTA, addressed this gap in its amended FY26 annual business plan approval letter issued on September 24th, 2025. In the lower portion of this slide, you will see how the state resolved the funding need by providing just over $4 million to fully cover the operational shortfall and 2.28 million in available FY23 contingency funding. Together, both of these adjustments totaled just over $6 million, which the state dispersed in September. This ensures that the FY25 Amtrak operating agreement is fully funded while we continue to stabilize the service reliability following the mechanical transition. The staff recommends that the board adopt this additional annual business plan funding and authorize the managing director to execute the necessary agreements. I'm happy to take any questions on this or the slides that Charles presented. Thank you.
Thank you, Leo. Any public comment on this item?
There is one person with their hand up, Judge Jane. I think that's Director Jade, but that's the only public comment. So there's no additional public
No
comment.
public comment. Okay. Okay. Director Jane, did you have a comment?
No, I was just trying to be promoted as a panelist, which I have now been promoted. Thank you.
Great.
And there is one public comment now
There is one public comment now.
From Paul Shifter.
Okay.
Paul, please go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you for the presentation. Just a quick question on the upcoming fall schedule. Do you know when we would expect that schedule to be released? Are we thinking 30 days, 45 days out? Thank you.
So thanks for the question. We're tentatively planning to implement that in December. We're finalizing the specific details with Union Pacific and Amtrak at this time. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Leo. Director Alma Hernandez, you had your hand up.
I originally did, part of my question has been answered, but I am curious as to see if we're seeing increase in travel or how we're capitalizing on individuals not wanting to do long travel by air and how we're marketing ourselves to capture some of those members. I know that sometimes they'll have to switch trains depending on the line, but I was also curious about that. especially since people are getting a little bit more and more nervous as air traffic control issues we were seeing on the news, and just wondering how we're seeing that translated over.
This is Rob Paget. Appreciate the question. Our trip lengths tend to be shorter. Our average trip length is about 80 miles. So we don't see a huge shift to our service. We certainly, in some of our partner agencies, have seen some cases, especially in Southern California, where we've seen some responses to that. One of the really interesting things about our service is that a lot of people do take it from the Sacramento region down to the Bay Area, especially for international travel out of San Francisco. And so we, I would say in some ways we may have seen a little bit of a bump up, but in other ways we may have seen a little bit of a bump down as a result of some of the airline travel.
That's an interesting note. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I would have not defaulted to thinking that. So thank you.
Right. Thanks. Any other directors? Yes. Wait, Director Lee, right?
Yeah, I just have a quick question. Thank you for this presentation. The only question I had, gosh, I think it was like slide 8 or 9. It was on the additional operational changes. How are the increases, like the fare increase for the Emeryville SF bus connection and the changes to Cafe Car determined? I know you had sort of been like inflation, but the $1 increase in the fare doesn't really map onto inflation. Also, I've taken that bus a number of times as I live in San Francisco, and it's just usually easier to make that connection. And my understanding is that you can only take the SF Emeryville bus if you have a ticket for a train ride. You can't just take it. So anyway, if you can explain those changes.
Yeah, sure. Happy to. Rob Paget again, happy to answer the question. So first, I'll start with the cafe prices first. So we tend to, we benefit from Amtrak's national presence in cafe stuff. One of the things we want to make sure that we do is that we generate enough revenue from the cafe service to justify the service, right? We don't want to overly subsidize it because not everybody uses it. So it still is an amenity. So it's still a subsidized service. But we do try to make sure that we're on top of things. And fortunately, Amtrak does give us lots of great data that they have nationally about typical costs, and we take advantage of that. On the connection to Emeryville, so what we have been trying to do with that connection is there are 2 ways to get into San Francisco. One is transfer at Richmond Station to BART. And the other is, and you are correct in the statement that you have to have a train ticket to get on that bus from Emeryville to the city. We still hope that AC Transit will partner with us at some point and provide that connection. So far, that has not happened, but we're continuing to coordinate with AC Transit. We try to keep that fare consistent with Cross Bay fares. We don't want to create an incentive for a person to take the bus instead of the connection at Richmond, because the contracted bus service is quite expensive. And in terms of an efficiency of service, because we have this restriction that we're not able to lift, it is a tough service to provide at a reasonable expense. And so we're walking that tightrope about what is a reasonable price. We do also want to continue to encourage people to take BART at Richmond. It's a very easy connection. And in fact, it's, if you time it, it's actually faster sometimes, and it's certainly more reliable than taking the bus connection.
I've done both, so I hear you. In terms of both of the increases, can those only happen annually with the decision we are making now, or okay?
Yeah. So what we will do for a more general, we had the big fare presentations at the last couple board meetings, which was a more substantial, and that short distance fare reduction came out of that. When we come back to you in April with the business plan, we will talk in that business plan, and that will be presented to the public, any sort of expectations about changes and broader fare changes in our system. That'll be a part of the annual business planning process.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Thank you. That's all.
Thanks for the question.
I missed the hand for direct.
I don't believe the chair's microphone is on.
Well, there you go. I muted myself. I got you. I see your hand is up. I don't know if it's you, Director Frericks, or you, Director Dickinson. I wanted to speak.
Yeah, it's myself, Director Ferrix. Thanks, Mr. Chair. Just one quick question for staff. With the, first of all, great news that ridership has increased in some of these city segments based on the lowering of the sort of short ride fare. So that's great. I think that's such good news, frankly, that we should be sharing that. So I'm curious how staff is, if there's a plan to share that kind of good news, publicly, social media and in media and otherwise. And then also perhaps it could be conjoined with the changes in the schedule that are coming as well. So, I mean, I think it just, both signs point to, strengthened sort of operations and ridership, obviously. And so really just wanted to check in and see if there's any plans by staff to sort of help share good news, especially it's all needed when these days, whenever we can get good news, we should share it. Thanks.
Yeah, Rob here again. We'll take that as a great suggestion. And the other big news is the connection to BART. So into Solano County, we've solidified that connection, and Davis and Solano County in particular, we see some really exciting changes. Great idea to connect that when we're pushing out our new schedule.
Director Rayburn.
Thank you, Chair Howdesheld. And my questions revolve around the upcoming Super Bowl on February 8th and the World Cup events this summer. I think 6 events. And the BART board received a presentation on November 13th from the MTC talking about their coordination, pretty much focused on Clipper. Nevertheless, it mentions open pavements, and I think there's maybe some room to collaborate. I heard that you are working with the Bay Area Host Committee already, and that's good news here, but I'm uncertain how much of a collaboration we can really see, or if we're already at capacity and no, go away, we don't need any more passengers. Tell me what your thoughts are on how we're going to move forward with this whole collaboration around getting people to Santa Clara.
So Director Rayburn, Bob Powers, BART General Manager. As you know, as the BART board knows, I'm on the Bay Area Host Committee and been in contact with the host committee, with the chair of the host committee and members of the host committee. BART runs a 9 a.m. Monday morning meeting with all the operators on December 8th, I believe. We're going, and routinely we have the Bay Area Host Committee join us at that meeting so that the operators and the Bay Area Host Committee are all on the same page. And so I believe is it whatever it is, Monday, December 8th, or whatever that Monday is, the chair of the host committee and their transportation subcommittee members will be at that meeting. And I'll make sure that Capital Corridor is part of that, because it is a system of public transit that is gonna be able to move folks in and out of these events, starting with the Super Bowl. And then if you couple that with December 10th, every other agency in the Bay Area will be able to start tap and ride, right, as we transition to Clipper 2. And that'll be done well ahead of the FIFA games coming in. And the tap to ride on all the operators will be ahead of the Super Bowl. So that coordination is happening, as is the effort to secure federal funding for operators and the Bay Area Host Committee to help with safety and security measures at the venues themselves and to and from the venues post and pre-event. So that's happening. I'll make sure Capital Corridor is part of that Monday, December 7th or 8th, whatever that Monday meeting is.
Okay, and just to be clear, a second part to this question is regarding the Capital Corridor's TAP 2 ride program, which is currently in a pilot phase by subscription. You have to register your card first. It's not truly open payment. Do we expect to maybe have some way that we can have an open payment system by the June soccer games?
Thanks, Director Rayburn. So we have been working closely with the Bay Area Host Committee, and that was one of the topics that came up in terms of how to improve the customer experience. And we really are still working through that process and figure out what we might be able to do, whether we'll still be in the same pilot that we're running today where passengers do have to subscribe, or if we could actually do something without a manifest. But that really will depend on what we might be able to do with Amtrak and the FRA.
Thank you very much for that. I think it's very important for us to provide service to those folks that are visiting the Bay Area and maybe hanging out here throughout June and into the 1st of July to attend the half dozen soccer matches down in Santa Clara. So the more that we can get them on board with using, whether it's their credit card or a Clipper card, the better off we'll be. That's all. Thank you.
All right, now seeing any other comments, I'll take a motion on this item.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Director Rinn, seconded by Director Rayburn. Roll call.
Director Byrd,
Aye, and I have to leave the meeting now. Thank you.
Director Broadway,
Yes.
Director Chapman,
Aye.
Director Dickinson,
Aye.
Director Frericks,
Aye.
Director Alba Hernandez,
Aye.
Director Jane. Director Jane,
Sorry, I was talking to someone in here. I didn't have my hand raised. I'm sorry.
we're doing the vote on
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Director Lee,
Yes.
Director Reed,
Yes.
Director Rayburn,
Yay.
Director Schaefer,
Yes.
Director Wright,
Yes.
Vice Chair Hernandez,
Aye.
Chair Haldeshell.
Aye.
Motion passes 14-0.
Thank you very much. Next, we'll move to the, this is gonna be fun, the advertising program.
This is the best part. Yeah.
Well,
Actually, I should not say that. I have no.
I'm just
all
gonna
good.
say only by train.
Um,
Just, that's all we need to, just,
So our next item is an info item. As you're aware, we did switch to a new advertising contractor for about a decade. And we had a little bit of a hiatus in our advertising program as a result. But we have some really interesting creative stuff. And so this is just to share what is going on. And this is I'll let my team talk about it, but a Sacramento-based firm. I'll introduce Vernay Graham and Priscilla Colugden, who will present this item.
Good morning. I'm here to present a little bit of an update on our advertising program. The last time that we spoke about our advertising program with all of you was when we were in the middle of putting together our campaign with the Honey Agency from Sacramento. And now we have a new campaign. It's called Only by Train, and we're here to give you a little bit of an update on how that has performed for phase one of its duration of its flight. Just to remind you, our phase one period went from April through September. During that time, we did a lot of discovery with our new agency, and they learned a little bit about us. We learned about them and how to work with each other. Our target audiences included new riders as well as commuters, and of course, the whole Northern California area is our geography. The objectives, of course, are to increase brand awareness and increase ridership and bookings. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the results of the campaign next. So our phase one campaign performance included several different components, which include Google paid search, a variety of pieces, as well as of mediums, as well as outdoor billboards and meta ads on Instagram and Facebook. But the performance has been really great. We're really pleased with how the energy has been for this campaign. We got 3 million total views for our ads and 100,000 click-throughs from those ads that were flighted as a aggregate from all of them. And of the paid media efforts, They contributed 40% of our booking submissions on our site during the duration of the campaign flight. I'm going to turn it over to Vernay Graham, who will go into a little bit more detail about the different mediums.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Vernay Graham, Principal Marketing Rep for Capital Corridor. I'm just going to do a sort of a little bit of a, not a dive, but just to give a snapshot of some of the areas of advertising and so what these early results look like. For phase one, which ended in September, the Google search ads performed very well. Click-through rates were 7 times higher than industry average, driving 40% of website bookings. Next slide. Also in phase one, so Meta, which all of you, or some of you may know, is Instagram plus Facebook. While Google search drove most bookings, Meta ads built visibility with 2.2 million video views and reached close to 900,000 users. And on the left side there, you can see a few screenshots of the ads that ran both on Instagram and Meta. And in addition to the Google paid search, the Meta ads, we also had outdoor billboards. And these are some of the billboards that you may or may not have seen, but these are the ones that were out there along the corridor that brought additional views and supported all of the online advertising, along with gas toppers and taxi drives. So there's a very well-rounded a variety of ads that we have out there in market. Next slide, please. So I know you're going to say that.
Because I was getting on a very congested I-5 and I looked to my right and I said, look at that.
So this ad here, one of our favorites as well. This is the ad of our Only by Train campaign that is 5 stories high and on the side of the fruit building in downtown Sacramento, 4th and J. And it actually is illuminated at night as well. So it's really a very beautiful looking ad. Other billboards, not necessarily as large as this one, have been placed along the 80 corridor near Dixon and also the 880 corridor in Hayward, San Leandro, and Newark. Next slide. So before we play this video, I just want to let those of you know that are on Zoom that you may have, there may be a little interruption in the audio, a fluctuation in the audio when you listen to it, but you always can go back to slide 19 and play it so you can get the full musical atmosphere of the campaign. So with that, we're going to play the video, please. So with that, this is the all of the various, it's a story that we're telling about Only by Train. And there are 3 different sort of personas. There's the student, which you saw there with her headsets and she's got the dog, the couple, and then their father and daughter. And all of those, they're various clips, whether they're 30 seconds, 15 seconds, all telling this story. So if you go on social, if you're looking, you may see the student or you may see the couple. And so this is it all coming together. And this is sort of the thread that we're weaving throughout for this particular campaign. And we'll continue it into phase 2 as well. So we're very excited about how this has all come together in a very short period of time with Honey and the views, and I think really sort of for us, seeing sort of this influx of writers or people coming and looking at this has been very exciting for us. Next slide. So As Priscilla had mentioned earlier about the gap, this has been a 6-month gap in advertising. And this campaign has re-energized, I think, our visibility and engagement. And I think all of us are excited sort of where we're going with this and the future of this campaign. Any questions? Anyone see the ads yet, buddy? Except for you?
Is there any public comment on this item?
There's no public comments on this item.
All right. I am just going to master this one day. I know I am. Oh, there it is. There's what I'm looking for. I'm going to master this. I know I am. Nope, that's not the right one. And there we go. Director Jane.
Yeah, so I rode the train on Friday to Davis and then back on Sunday. The things that I like the best about riding Capitol Corridor is I can take a nap. I can work because I have internet. There's the cafe car, things that, drivers stuck in congested traffic don't get to experience. So those are things that I'd like to see highlighted, that the internet, being able to work, having power to charge your laptop, the cafe car. Thank you.
Yes, Director Jane, thank you for your comments. And those are some of the things I like too. This is Priscilla Kalugden, the marketing manager. I like taking a nap on the train. Don't tell Rob that though. But one of the things that we will be highlighting in each of the clips in the additional footage that is there is features like our, electrical outlets, be able to get a drink in the cafe car, and be able to bring your pet on board. All of those things that we appreciate and all the amenities that we offer, those are going to be featured in the different various clips that we have for the campaign.
I don't see any other hands up remotely. Anybody, any directors here? Director Rayburn?
Sort of as a follow-up to my prior comments regarding the Super Bowl and the World Cup events, the MTC's campaign is called All Aboard. And that campaign is actually feeding into the regional measure for next year. I'm wondering if it seems that at least for the World Cup and the Super Bowl that we could easily morph into being all aboard as well. I don't know. It's easy for me to say easy, but Vernay and
let's leave this
Priscilla,
up to
do you
the
have any
professionals,
thoughts?
okay?
Yes.
Yeah, we look forward to hearing more about that. So for sure, we'll definitely look into incorporating that messaging and when we hear more about it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Edward, Director Wright.
Thank you. I really appreciate you including some of the metrics on the campaign. I know we talked about that the last time you were up here. I was just curious if we're, in addition to tracking the click-through rate, the conversion rate from the campaign.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
If we're tracking the conversion rate from the campaign. So
Yes.
the percentage of the people who see the ad and then actually follow through on purchasing it.
Yes, we can do some of that conversion rate. So we do have the click-through rate and then to the bookings. That's something that we do have, and we've been keeping an eye on that and on our monthly reports. So we are keeping an eye on that. And as we progress with the evolution of the campaign, we'll make sure to report back.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right, this is an information-only item. Super excited to see what comes, and we'll move on to our next item, which is the Capitol Corridor Joint Powers Authority Capital Project Update. Is this you, Director Paget?
Yes, Rob Paget here. I'm going to give you an update here. And just a reminder, so we take questions from board members about any specific projects. I have a quick update on a few things before we take questions. First, it was in the past, we presented to the Capitol Corridor Board on the corridor identification program, which is the new FRA process for identifying rail projects across the country for future funding. The FRA is looking to Caltrans, to us, to prioritize projects using this planning process. And And those of us who are seeking federal dollars are expected to follow through on this, and this will drive a lot of those decisions. As we wait for Quarter ID to move forward, and it is still moving forward painfully slowly, but it is still moving forward. It does appear the new administration supports the program. In the interim, the Caltrans Division of Rail has developed a process to consider whether the state will provide letters of support for federal grant applications. This new process has been outlined by Caltrans and has created some confusion about projects. And the reason I'm highlighting this today is I know Hercules, which has been endorsed by the board as a potential station, was informed that they would not receive a letter of support from the state at this point. So I want to just say we are working with Caltrans to better understand exactly the process they're going to use to support projects. It does matter whether the state supports a federal grant application. The FRA would like to see us across California agree on what priorities are. I think we all are aware of how hard that is to do in a state as large as California. So we will continue to work with Caltrans and FRA to make sure that our projects are at the forefront, and that criteria is super clear about what projects are going to receive state support. Other note on projects, we talked about Davis at our last station, the Davis Interlocking and Signal Project. Amtrak has pulled the $5 million. They did receive a letter from our congressional representatives. At this point, they have not changed their position. We are likely to come back to you and recommend filling that gap. I'm not ready to put something on the agenda today, but we do want to move forward with the interlocking project so that long-term, the city of Davis will see a new station that is more accessible and is a better community boarding location for the city of Davis. And then lastly, on Sac-Roseville, we are still working on Sac-Roseville. We have had some encouraging conversations with FRA. Again, I'll come back to you with some more details. We do have that outstanding grant through the CRISI program. We're working on a process to move forward on some of the environmental work on Sac-Roseville so that we can continue to move forward on that project. So I will pause there, and I'm happy to answer questions on anything that I mentioned and any other project that's on the list.
Great. Is there any public comment on this item?
There are no public comments.
All right. I don't see any hands up on the virtual screen. Any directors' comments or questions? Okay, we'll move to the next item, which is legislative and funding update.
All right.
Federal.
So lots of stuff going on the federal and state side. First, I want to mention, I think a lot of you know Chad Edison very well. He spent 12 years at CalSTA. And I can say personally, he's part of how I ended up in California. I had an opportunity to work with him back in the East Coast at FRA. His last day at CalSTA, he retired on Monday. I think we all, if he's listening, maybe he's traveling already, I don't know, but I think we all want to extend our thanks for all he's done for rail in California and wish him all the best in his new endeavors. The other big personnel news since we last met is David Fink was appointed as the FRA, officially approved as the FRA administrator since our last meeting. And I did have an opportunity, we have rail meetings twice a year, and I had an opportunity to sit with him a couple times during the meetings in Minneapolis a few weeks ago. He did run a short line railroad that hosted one of our sister agencies in Maine. So he is very much familiar with the state supported rail services across the country, and we're encouraged by his engagement. He was, interestingly, and this is not typical, sat through all the sessions, listened to all the stuff, talked to all of us, like super engaged in these rail meetings. So it was great to see that despite the fact that the federal government was not open at the time. Also want to mention Union Pacific, Norfolk Southern merger. You've probably been reading about that. We are paying close attention to that. I did have an opportunity to attend a session down in Los Angeles recently where Jim Vena, the president of Union Pacific, came and talked about that merger. They will not formally submit the application to the Surface Transportation Board until December or January. We will certainly review that once it is submitted and stay on top of exactly how that's moving. Just a couple things on the federal agency side. FRA they did have a lot of furloughs as a result of the shutdown. So some stuff has moved slowly. I think they're getting back on their feet. And we'll keep an eye on that, but you might see a little bit if you're engaged in any processes with FRA or STB, they're catching up and on a lot of things. And then lastly, I want to flag one thing that we'll come back to you and talk more about in April, which is our state funding. So as you remember, we were granted, and this is the 3 joint powers authorities in the state that run intercity rail service, an increase in our funding, state funding, from $131 million, which was really for a decade, the amount of money available for intercity rail, up to a little bit over $200 million. And that funding was for a 3-year period. So that will continue through 2027. Absent action, that will go back to $131 million in FY28. So we're going to stay on top of that, stay engaged with the state. And when we present to you the business plan, which is a 2-year plan, when we come back in April, we will talk about FY28 and exactly what kinds of expectations we might see with some of those funding changes. And that covers it for me. I'm happy to take any questions on what I mentioned or what's in your packet.
Any public comment?
We do have one public comment.
Great. We'll take that public comment now.
Liz Ames. Liz, please go ahead.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes,
we can.
Thank you. I meant to speak on the other item. I apologize. I couldn't raise my hand fast enough. This is Liz Ames. I'm one of your BART directors. And I want to thank the JPA for preparing, or thanks JPA and staff for preparing this 2024 Carquinez Crossing Study Phase 2 report. That report led to a few alternatives to cross the Carquinez Strait that connects Solano County and Benicia to Martinez and Contra Costa County. Currently, that bridge is 100 years old, or approaching 100 years old. It's beyond its useful life. I haven't seen the structural condition assessment. It wasn't part of the study, but this is a passenger and freight rail bridge that should be replaced or retrofitted to ensure freight and capital corridor service continues operation. I'm hoping that this project is on the priority list, and I'm looking forward to seeing the expansion of rail service to the 3 counties north of Martinez, which basically Solano, Sonoma, and what am I thinking? Solano, Sonoma, and Napa counties. This could provide an opportunity to expand service to Sacramento, the Bay Area, and jobs across the region. It's about $20 billion. It's $10 billion less than South Bay Connect if you complete South Bay Connect between Oakland and San Jose. So I hope this is a big priority for it's the busiest line in Northern California is this particular bridge. It serves 5-6 ports through the Carquinez Strait, and it serves passenger rail service, and it's the busiest in Northern California. And I appreciate getting an update on this project and look forward to next steps. Thank you.
We do have one more public comment.
We have one more comment. Let's go with that one additional comment then.
Roland, please go ahead.
Thank you, and good morning. This is Roland Probran in San Jose. I would like to echo Director Ames' comment, and likewise suggest that you consider extending the service south, particularly increasing the service to San Jose and beyond, including Gilroy, Salinas, and potentially beyond. That would be very helpful, not just to Capital Corridor, but to everybody who lives south of San Jose, starting with South San Jose onwards. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think we have some comments virtually from directors. Do we?
I don't see any.
You don't? Okay. Well, great. Any directors here have any comments? Director Rayburn.
Thank you for your report. Do you have an update on the South Bay Connect lawsuit?
We are still working through the final execution, but that should happen within the next couple of days of an agreement on that.
Thank you.
Any other directors? Any other directors? Okay. This is an action item. Is this an action item?
So just to, I'll make a note. We usually keep the legislative as an action item in the instance that something comes up last minute where we need to take an action or the board decides that it wants to
Let's
take. a
take no
specific
action as the action we take.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, that is an action. All right. That brings us to the managing director's report, including programs and project updates, which feels like it's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll go quickly through this. We have some really encouraging slides in this packet. So we're feeling pretty good about operations. If you go to the next slide, please. So this is the full fiscal year. So our fiscal year for operations closes on September 30th. A high number, the high point here is the 10% increase in ridership, 8% increase in revenue. We almost hit $30 million in revenue. I'm going to say an unofficial cost recovery of 50%, which is our goal. We're still, we still true up a lot of stuff in the coming weeks, but that is very encouraging. And despite a very rough September that Charles talked about earlier, our on-time performance is just shy of our 90% target. The slide I least like, but we continue to include because it's an important thing to keep in front of the board. We had 11 fatalities on our corridor in FY25, which was down from 14 and 24 and 21 and 23. As you know, our team, this is top of our minds, and we focus a lot of energy and resources on making this corridor secure. We have the $20 million Chrissy grant that we are working through the final details on to get executed to put fencing up along 17 miles. We're going to keep working on this topic. Next slide. So annual performance report. So we transitioned over recently to an online annual performance report that highlights how we're doing. So I'm just going to run through a couple of these slides and you'll get a feel for how things are looking on the operations side. High level overview of what we're going to cover in the annual performance report. And I should say my communications team is going to be the staff that's going to focus on this, is our growth, continued partnerships, and our community engagement, which has really been a real highlight of Capitol Corridor this year. And then talk about exactly how things are looking going back to 2019, which is certainly a pivotal year. And we're going to push that out through a microsite that's essentially a single page that will provide access to those who are interested in Capitol Corridor. We see a lot of people tag this and look at this, particularly elected officials and key stakeholders. This is really an important source of information. And we can tell because we see it in speeches. We know that we're making connections. Next slide. This will just show you generally what we're going to cover in that annual report. Next slide. So you like to see things move up, and you're going to see in the next few slides, things are moving up in the right direction. 1.1 million riders in FY25 with a real surge in the last several months of FY25. I suspect FY26 will look even more encouraging. Next slide. And on the revenue side, very important to get back to a fiscally stable service, sustainable service, almost $30 million in revenue in FY25. Next slide. And on-time performance, also moving in the right direction with a couple rough years there in 22 and 23, but we're really moving in the right direction, getting very close to that 90% on-time performance goal. Just to highlight our users of the service, and you hear about this at all of our board meetings, we carry lots of people for lots of reasons and are really important to the connections across Northern California. And then we're going to continue to highlight this. I'm hoping as we keep moving forward, we're starting to see a new sliver. That other 1% is going to get bigger as we start to engage more in our Tap to Ride program. But the big change that we saw post-COVID is that more of our customers are buying a single round trip or a single ticket as opposed to our 10 rider monthly passes. And then of course, we'll wrap it all up with some of the highlights of what we've done over the past year. And I believe that is our last slide. All right. Well, with that, I will pause and be happy to take any questions.
There are no public comments.
Let me put the microphone on again. I heard in my mind Director Lucas, Freakus. Anybody comment? Okay, great. Any directors here? All right. You know what? That brings us to the conclusion of the meeting. But I am going to wish everyone the best of times next week.
There's a couple other items. Sorry to interrupt.
I'm sorry.
Director reports.
And then also public comments,
Public comment on,
just on items not on the agenda.
Yeah, we need to take general public comment.
oh, you know, there we go.
And there aren't any.
You know, speeding down the tracks here, aren't I? Okay. I need a book of, you know, if you're anybody looking for a stocking stuffer for me, a book of train ones. Is there any public comment on non-agenda items?
There are two now.
There are two. All right, we'll take those two.
The first is Gerald. Gerald, please go ahead.
Yes, my name is Gerald Cawthon. I'm the president of the Bay Area Transportation Working Group. And I'm going to talk a little bit about something that's not strictly speaking your responsibility, but we all know that when it comes to freight rail, it's better to put the containers on trains than trucks. And I was very glad to hear Bob Paget's having discussions with the FRA and the state about major rail improvement projects, because as some of you, maybe all of you know, Caltrans is not waiting for rail improvements along your corridor into Oakland and the Port of Oakland to be improved. It is proceeding quietly with a major truck study in which trucks would end up being added to I-580 as well as 880 and 80, and also to Highway 13. And probably that means also to Highway 24 and Mission Boulevard through Hayward and south northward into Berkeley and 980. So this is a major issue, and they're going quietly ahead. They've got this, obviously, they've got some political steam behind that. They've got a few, they've heard from the truckers, they've heard from the unions. They told us this in their meeting last week. And they've heard from several state legislators about proceeding with that. No one at the port wants to have to deal with more trucks. The city of Oakland certainly doesn't, and nobody in the East Bay really wants to have more trucks. It's not just moving trucks from 880 to 580, it's more trucks. That's a problem, and I'm just bringing it to your attention. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the next speaker is Jeffrey Beeman. Jeffrey, please unmute yourself.
Hello, everybody. Sorry to extend your meeting. It's your favorite annoyingly persistent retired scientist once again. You may recognize my voice. Even though this meeting didn't cover hydrogen-powered trains, I'm sure that you continue to hear about them. I'm back to ask you to please stay analytical as Caltrans continues to promote this form of transportation. There are a few developments in this area that I'm hoping we are all aware of. First, the Trump administration has canceled $1.2 billion of funding for the California Hydrogen Hub. The state is yet to dedicate future subsidies for hydrogen production, so a reliable source of hydrogen fuel is in great jeopardy. Second, Germany, who has a lot of experience in hydrogen rail, has suspended all new funding for this mode of transportation. Fuel supply, efficiency, and reliability of the train sets were all issues there and likely will be here. Third, hydrogen hasn't changed. It's still extremely inefficient as a train fuel source. If we specify green hydrogen as fuel, we consume more than twice as much green electricity to produce the hydrogen than if we just powered our trains directly with that electricity. We waste more than half in the conversion. Why would we squander our renewable grid electricity when we now need it for AI and crypto and other bogus uses, which are dragging the grid back into fossil fuels? And lastly, and this is more subtle, if we make hydrogen and we do produce it, it should be used for chemical feedstocks like fertilizers. We use fossil fuels now for this and dump megatons of CO2 in the process. There's no other way that I know of to decarbonize this sector of the economy. Catenary or non-continuous catenary and batteries might take more capital and time to build out, but it will run for decades. If we choose hydrogen, we will very likely saddle the state with poorly performing trains and fossil fuel-based hydrogen for a very long time. So I invite you all to please check into these issues yourselves, stay critical, and choose for the long term. Thanks for the attention, kids.
There's one more comment with Roland. Roland, please go ahead.
Thank you. I'd like to follow up on the comment that Jerry Corden made earlier about transporting containers via rail instead of via truck. The real issue is that at the end, you're going to have to unload those containers and then put them onto a truck. An alternative that you have is like what is done in Europe and the Channel Tunnel in particular, is that you load the container onto a truck and then the truck drives onto a train to its eventual destination. The truck drives off the train, for the last, 20, 50 or 100 miles. And maybe we should be considering that, not just in the north, but I would say in California, pretty much anywhere in the I-5 corridor. Thank you.
Thank you. I also neglected to provide the opportunity for any of the directors to make comments. Let me check online here, Director Rayburn, make sure. Anyone online interested in making a comment? Any of the directors? Okay, Director Rayburn.
I was at the Oakland Jack London station recently, and actually a couple of times, and I've seen the, the elusive venture cab cars attached to San Joaquin trains. And I presume that this bodes well for our future as we may be in line to take delivery of the bi-level equipment that's been assigned to the San Joaquins. That's all.
It does bode well. Yeah, stay tuned.
Thank you.
Great. Well, I'm looking over there to make sure my stage manager's I'm okay with the stage manager here. I think that brings us to the end of our meeting. And as you travel next week and celebrate, I'd be remiss to not say to encourage everyone only by train, right? And we'll see you back here in February.